Hey guys, it's Melanie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really easy color block style crocheted blanket. I love this blanket. It's nice and big. I will show you some other pictures. Obviously I won't be able to fit the whole thing in the frame of this camera. But super easy, beginner friendly. I'm going to show you all the steps real slow so a beginner can do this project. I use 2 strands of yarn at one time, so this blanket does use a lot of yarn, like maybe 18 balls of yarn. So stay tuned to the end of the video. If you don't want to use that much yarn or you want to make any modifications, I will explain how to do that at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. So let's get going, jump right into this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make this blanket. Okay, so let's get started. I've got 2 strands of yarn here that I'm going to be using at one time, and I'm going to go ahead and make a slip knot. You can see that right here. And then you're going to be using this hook. This is a speed hook, or one of the largest ones you can buy. It's a size Q, 16 millimeters. So that's the one that you want to have for this project if you're going to be using 2 strands. Then you want to insert the hook into that slip stitch, or that slip knot that you made, and go ahead and start your foundation chain. Here is the foundation chain, and you are going to be chaining 70. So that's a nice long foundation chain, and this is how you're going to get started. Don't use too much tension here at the beginning. You want to make these chains plenty big for you to then put your stitches in as you go along. If you make it too tight, it will be problematic later on. Okay, here is my completed foundation chain. I chained 70 chains. That's about 50 inches using this yarn and this hook. Now we're going to go 1, 2, 3 chains from your hook, and you're going to half double crochet, which is yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops that are on your hook. So let's try that one more time. Yarn over, insert into that chain, yarn over, pull through, and then you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. This is a half double crochet stitch, and you're going to do this all the way down your foundation chain. Okay, here I am completing this first row, and once you get to this very last stitch, you're going to put your half double crochet right in there. And the ends are going to be the trickiest part of this blanket. It's a very simple tutorial, but where people go wrong is not getting quite enough stitches in each row. So be sure that you are watching that. And once you've completed that stitch, you are going to chain 2. There's the first one, the second one, and then you're going to turn your work. So here it is, turn, and then here's that first stitch, and this is the second stitch. Do not place your half double crochet in the first stitch. You want it to be in the second one. So right here, half double crochet, yarn over, insert, yarn over, and then you want to make sure you pull through all 3 loops. Here it is one more time. And then you're going to continue back down all along this row. This blanket's going to take you several evenings to accomplish. And I'm going to show you real close right here. Sometimes people get confused on where you're supposed to place the hook. So right in there. It's going to be a little bit tricky with the 2 strands of yarn, but I think you guys can do it. So there you go, and finish up this row. Once you get to the end, this part is a little bit tricky when you're just getting used to this. The good thing is it's the same exact thing all the way through the whole blanket. So once you get the hang of it, you'll be good to go. So right here, you're going to see this stitch right here to place your half double crochet. So go ahead and do that. But don't forget, there's one more on the end here. A lot of times people will think that's the last one, but there's one more little guy over here from that turning chain. You've got to put a half double crochet in there. If you don't, your blanket will gradually get smaller. So here's that last stitch that you want to do, and then you're going to chain 2 and turn your work and continue on. Also, another mistake people might make is to put a stitch in that first stitch after the turning chain, and you want it to be in the second one, like this one right here. So make sure that you get it in the right stitch, and then your blanket's going to have straight edges as you stitch along. Okay, just jumping in real quick to tell you that I moved ahead for filming purposes because I used 6 skeins of yarn per color on this blanket. So I'm going to show you how to add new skeins of yarn, and I'm going to show you how to change the color, but don't be alarmed because the color didn't exactly follow along with my blanket. I just moved ahead for filming purposes. So all the steps will still be shown, but just don't be thrown off by that. So let's get back to the tutorial. Alright, so now I'm in the purple section of this blanket, but once you run out of those first 2 skeins of gray, if that's where you were going to start, you will need to add a new ball of yarn. All I do is take the end and tie it to the beginning of one of the other balls of yarn. I do this when the first one ends, so they're not going to end right at the same time. So do one and then continue stitching along and then do the other one, like you see here. That way you'll have those little tails weaved in a staggered fashion and you will be able to hide them easier. So now I'm going to show you how to change the color. Here I am in the white section transitioning to purple. So once you have those 3 loops on your hook from that last stitch, make sure it's in the right spot, that last turning chain stitch, you are going to place the 2 strands of the new color in your hook, and you're going to use that to pull through the 3 loops that were on your hook from that half double crochet. That will make it so that it's got a nice clean edge. Tighten everything up. Make sure you're holding everything in place really, really well. Then you're going to do your chain 2 and give yourself a couple stitches so that everything is secure in place. And then I'm going to have you weave in those tails just to make sure everything's secure. Don't forget, don't stitch in the first stitch. The second one over right here. And then continue down a little ways before you weave in the ends, and I'm going to show you how to do that to make sure that it's nice and secure. So here's another stitch. That purple and white is so pretty together. Okay, now what you're going to need to do is get a smaller hook. I think this one is a K, and we need to weave in these ends of both the white and purple. So take your purple and you're going to be weaving it in up through the purple stitches so that it won't be seen. Insert your hook in one of the little loops and pull through those tails. You can see that gives a nice little knot. I'm going to do that twice to make sure that it's really secure. I won't be nervous about the blanket falling apart. So do that one more time. Insert your hook and pull through the tails, and then pull the ends through the little loop that you've created on your hook right here. Once you've done that, weave in those tails. Make them nice and hard to find, buried in those stitches, and then you're going to just trim the extras. Do this for the white too, and make sure that you do this for all the tails that you have throughout the entire blanket. I want to mention real quick too that in the description box below will be written instructions and links for all of the materials that I used. So be sure to check out there if you're wondering what I used for this blanket. Now right here I just wanted to show you the half double crochet with the purple and white. It just gives you a little bit different view of how it looks. So keep crocheting along. I'm going to show you the ending right here again on one of the end rows. You've got that half double crochet, and then don't forget this little guy down here. Make sure that you put your stitch in that last turning chain. It just looks a little bit different with the different colors, so I wanted to include it. Now you finished it, we're ending it off. Finish up your half double crochets when you don't have enough yarn to complete another row. And then here's our second to last stitch and the last one. A lot of times I get this question on how to end your blanket, and so right here I'm going to show you. Get that last stitch, and then you're going to be left with a loop on your crochet hook. Just take your ends. You're going to yarn over and pull those tails through that loop that was on the crochet hook right there. Give it a nice good tug, make sure it's nice and secure, and weave in the ends really, really well. Make one of those little knots, go back and forth, make sure everything is weaved in to make it nice and secure. All right, that's it. You are all done. I hope that was a really fun tutorial for you to follow along. I would love to see pictures, so tag me on social. I would love to see what you guys make. Okay guys, that's it. So like I said, I used 6 skeins of yarn per color. So I used 2 strands at one time. And if you don't want your blanket to be that thick or cost as much money to make it, I used pretty inexpensive yarn, so it wasn't too bad. But if you want to change that, totally fine, you can do that. Just make sure you use the coordinating hook size for the ball of yarn that you've chosen. Keep in mind though, if you want your project to look exactly like mine did, you have to follow my instructions exactly like I did. You have to use the same size hook and the same style of yarn and the same number of chains and all that stuff. Otherwise it will turn out different. But this is a really basic blanket, really easy to do, and so modifications are great. You want to use a different style of yarn, thicker, thinner, different size hook, by all means, do that and modify this to your style. I would love to see pictures. If you look underneath the video on a desktop device, you will see show more. That will open up the description box. All my social links will be down there. I would love to see your project. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your crafty friends. I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to also leave me any comments on what you think of this tutorial and any questions in the comment section below. I am more than happy to help you. And I guess that's it. I will see you later. Bye!